what is the one switch, the one mind switch that you can do immediately that is so simple that will take you from learning very hard and having difficulties to learning very easily, understanding Hebrew, speaking Hebrew, even imitating the accent better, pronouncing better? What is it? So, hi, how are you? I hope that you're all doing well. I want to talk about a very simple thing today, but something that most of us don't do. It's so simple that when I tell my students to do that, they're like, yeah, right. Why didn't we do that? But for some reason, our psychology, the way we're trained to learn, I don't know, we always, most of us do the opposite of it. And that little switch that you do in 1 second and you just decide to do really takes people. And it took me with my journey in English, and it takes so many of my students in their journey with Hebrew from really struggling to starting to understand and then to speak and feel comfortable in the language and understanding the music of the language and the accent and how to pronunciation. So I'm going to explain about it. But before, I want you to actually hear a conversation that I had with my lovely student Jeanette. We started to work together and she really struggled. And one of the things that I advise my student to do is, yeah, you learn actively, sit with a teacher, with a course, with a book, with something, with songs. You sit and learn, which is very, very important. And the other side of it, which is also very, very important, is to learn subconsciously. Just to listen to things, movies, songs, people speak, just kind of immerse yourself in the language, even passively. And she really struggled with that instruction because she said, I just don't understand anything they're saying, and it's too hard and frustrating. So I just gave her one little tip, or I actually just said one sentence, and it did such a huge shift. So, first of all, I want you to hear it from her, not from me, because she really is the one that did it. But it's not just her, it's a lot of students that I work with. And then I'll explain the importance of what I said and what she did and why it happens and what helps us and all of that. But first, I want you to hear my conversation with Jeanette. אוקיי. תספרי לי את מה שאמרת לי עכשיו, שמה קרה. אמרת, אני רוצה לספר לך, תספרי לי שוב.
בסדר. את אמרה לי, זה לא חשוב אם אני עם הרבה ישראלים והם מדברים ואני כל כך מפחדת כי אני לא יודעת מה שהם אומרים ואני לא יכולה לדבר עברית כל כך טובה וחשוב שאני מבינה שמה אני מבינה עם מה שהם מדברים, אולי יש מילה אחת, מילה שתיים, אני צריכה להרגיש טובה
כן.
על מה אני מבינה, ולא על מה שאני לא מבינה.
בדיוק, כן, בדיוק, מושלם. את אומרת, מה שדיברנו, זה שבמקום כשהרבה אנשים מדברים, או אפילו כשמישהו אחד מדבר, במקום להיות בפוקוס, את זה אני לא מבינה, אני לא מבינה, לעשות סוויץ', מה אני כן מבינה? קודם כל, מה אני כן מבינה, ומה גילית, מה הבנת כששמת פוקוס אחר, ששינית, עשית סוויץ', שינית את המיקוד, מה קרה לך?
בגלל שאת אמרה לי את זה, זה ממש פשוט,
נכון,
אבל זה סוויץ'.
בדיוק.
יש לי סוויץ' במוח, ואני I'm excited.
איזה כיף. אני מתרגשת.
כן, אני מתרגשת לדעת מה אני מבינה,
איזה כיף.
במקום מה אני לא מבינה, ואני לא יכולה, ויש כל מיני דברים אני לא מבינה, אז אני לא יכולה לדבר עברית. זה ממש סוויץ',
איזה כיף.
וממש תודה.
איזה חמודה. תודה לך שאת עושה את זה, תודה לך שאת עושה את זה, כי תראי, אני נותנת את הטכניקות ואת הרעיונות, אבל בסוף את צריכה להחליט שאוקיי, אני לא עושה את זה. אני משנה את הפוקוס, זה לא קל, זה לא קל, כי אנחנו כל הזמן רגילים מה לא, מה לא, מה לא, ומה, עכשיו רק מה כן, אבל אולי זה קצת, ובכל זאת עשית את זה, ומה שהכנסת את עצמך, איפה ששמת את עצמך, זה בעצם הפוזיציה, המקום של ילד שלומד. ילד שלומד לא אומר, אני לא מבין, אני לא מבין, הוא אומר, מה זה, מה זה, מה זה, הוא רוצה, את זה אני מבין, אני אגיד את זה, אפילו אם זה לא נכון. וככה אנחנו לומדים יותר, וגם יותר כיף, אז אנחנו אומרים, אוקיי, אז אני אראה עוד סרט, אני אקשיב לעוד וידאו, אני אשמע עוד שיר, ואני בינתיים לא שמה לב שאני לומדת עוד מילים חדשות ועוד דברים, והמוח עושה הקשרים. אלופה, אלופה, כל הכבוד. והסברת את זה מאוד יפה בעברית, אני רק רוצה להגיד לך. ממש ממש יפה. אז זהו, אני סוגרת את... Okay, so I guess by now you kind of understood what is a small shift, a little shift switch that we need to do. And it's kind of funny, right? Because you're saying, yeah, that's obvious, but that's not obvious because most people don't do it. So what is this little shift that I tell my students to do? When you watch something, and it's very important to watch things in that language that you're learning, because maybe you're sitting with a teacher or a course or a book or a classroom or whatever, but you're not really listening to how people actually speak. Maybe just a few sentences, simple conversations, but you want to be able to learn as much as possible. And our brain learns in two ways. One is actively, we sit and learn, which is very, very important, because if we're just, we're not doing anything, we won't learn language. But the second thing, and as important as learning actively, is learning passively, because our brain learns even if we're not sitting and doing the work. It creates connections. If we're watching a show, a television episode, or a movie, then there's gestures, things that are happening in the scene, and we kind of figure out, we understand what is happening, even if we're not fluent, even if we don't know one word in this language. But if we do know a little bit, then we kind of understand the general idea, and just by watching and immersing ourselves in it, our brain is starting to create connections with specific words that it hears over and over again, and we see what is happening and kind of creates and starts to understand. Just like we learned our mother tongue, by the way, we created connections. No one gave us a book to learn our mother tongue. But what happens to most people is that they struggle with that. Why is it? Because they're not having fun. They don't understand anything or everything or nothing. And then my students tell me, I don't understand, I don't want to do it. And then I ask them one thing. Did you try to focus on what you do understand? And they look at me and say, what do you mean? Okay, you didn't understand everything, not every word, not every sentence, not every little nuance. But did you try to see what you do understand, like one word out of the whole movie? Maybe a sentence, maybe just a phrase, something? And then they say, most of the time, 90% of the time, no, I didn't focus on that. I tried to understand what I don't understand. And then, just like I told Jeanette and a lot of my students, I sent them to watch something again. But this time, instead of focusing on everything they don't know, and a lot of the times it's a lot, and it is frustrating, focusing on what you do know. One word, a few words, whenever something pops up. Do you understand the general idea? Do you understand the vibe? Once people do this, and again, I did it when I learned English, and my students do it, and I invite you to try it. it changes everything, because first of all, suddenly you're not frustrated, which is very important, and you're having more fun. And it's kind of like a game. What do I understand? Oh, I understand this and this. And when I ask my students, okay, watch this video, we watch it together. What did you understand? They understand a lot suddenly. And then I ask them, okay, in the sentence, you didn't understand these words, but from context, can you understand it? And then they say, yeah, is it this and this and this? And I tell them, yes, exactly. That's exactly what it means in Hebrew. And then they say, oh, yeah, well, it makes sense. So this is a great way. And this, once we shift our focus to the positive, to what we do understand, it becomes a game and fun. I always tell everyone here, and when I teach my students, and when I learn something new, we are kids. If we're trying to be very serious about learning a language and working very hard, it's not very fun. It's very hard, and we struggle and we fight, and we can learn, but it's a very long journey and not a fun one. But if we're playing, if everything is fun and playful, then it's just like going back and learning a mother tongue. Not only will learn this language, this new language, Hebrew in this case, but we'll also love it. We'll be able to connect to it, to express it, to want to learn more. We'll have the confidence because we love it and we want to talk to people and we're passionate and we're psyched. So it's really, really important. This little itsy bitsy thing, I know it's so small, but I believe that half of what we do when we learn something new, Hebrew, is working on our mental and mind state. Not just learning new words, obviously that as well, but we need to work on our mindset, because a lot of times that is the one thing that really fails us on the way, right? Because it is hard sometimes, and it is a long journey, and we don't understand everything, and we're turning to little kids who don't know how to speak and express themselves until we do. So instead of fighting it, let's play with it. Let's have fun with it. We're not supposed to know everything perfectly. We're students. Isn't it wonderful to be a student, to learn something new? I love it. I want to tell you an experience that I had. I just went to Cyprus, to Larnaca, a few weeks ago, and it was an amazing, amazing trip. People there are so nice. It's a beautiful place, the sea, the everything is just amazing. I loved it. I want to go back there. I had so much fun. And one of the things that I decided to do is learn a little bit of Greek, Yevanit, just for fun. I don't have anyone to speak with, and no one speaks. I don't know anyone who speaks Greek here in Israel, but I really wanted to connect to the people there. So I just used Google Translate with so many mistakes. I can't even tell you, but I didn't care. I just wanted to speak. And first of all, it was super fun. I learned a lot of words, and it really broke the ice between me and people, waiters, people in the shop, the hotel, people that I met. So many conversations started because of me trying to speak Greek, and it created something, and suddenly someone said something in Hebrew like shalom, or a word that they knew. It really connected us in a minute. So everything that I tell you to do, I do myself when I learn a language, when I learn English, and now I'm actually investing in Hungarian. Not because there are a lot of people who speak Hungarian in Israel. We don't actually have a lot of people, but it's my roots. My family, it came from Czechoslovakia, and my grandmother spoke Hungarian. And for me, it's music. It's home, right? It's just like the food, the Hungarian food, also the Hungarian language. So I've started now learning Hungarian at my own pace, because again, I don't have anyone to speak with. But it's so much fun, and everything I tell you to do, I do myself, and I see again how it works. Again, every time, doesn't matter where we are. So try this, write in comments, do you like it? Are you gonna use it? Do you do it, or maybe you don't? Do you listen to things in Hebrew, or maybe you're saying, no, it's too hard? Don't use subtitles. Just sit and try to figure out from context and from the situation, the scene, and what you do understand, and you'll advance super fast.